Hey everybody, Chris Maton here, Real Estate Machine Show. I got a really special topic today. This is how real estate investment and machinist slash machine shop owners kind of come together. Now, I want to preface this whole kind of conversation with understanding that there are, from a manufacturing standpoint, there are machinists, right? There are the tradespeople that are on the shop floor making parts, right? And then there's the shop owner, right? And sometimes the machinist becomes the shop owner. Sometimes the shop owner doesn't know anything about machining or manufacturing. They just kind of like own a business. But more times than not, the shop owner, a lot of times, especially in these smaller shops, the shop owner was a very highly skilled machinist who ended up opening up their own shop. So I want to get that out of the way first, because I want to explain how the investment in real estate can impact and benefit machinists and shop owners. So for the sake of this conversation, let's just assume that the shop owners began their career as machinists. Okay, so to be a machinist, you need to have a little aptitude, a lot of aptitude, mechanical aptitude. You got to know how things work, and you can make repairs on things. So the idea that a machinist is kind of an all-around sort of handy guy is not necessarily that far-fetched. So a machinist can, potentially change faucets and, maybe do a little light plumbing, a little light electrical, a little light carpentry. They have that in them to do those mechanical and kind of craftsman type things. So, which is a skill that is exceptionally beneficial when owning real estate, especially rental real estate, where you are tasked from time to time to make repairs. Sometimes you hire those repairs out to repair people, but sometimes, in a pinch, maybe you can do some of that stuff yourself, and you can save a ton of money that way, a ton of money. If you can do some of the light repairs yourself, it's, you save time a lot of the time, and you save a ton of money not having to pay a professional or some sort of tradesperson to come out and make that quick repair for you. So the reason why I'm bringing all this up is I want the machinists out there to know that owning real estate doesn't necessarily have to be a scary thing. You can get into a little 2-unit building or a 4-unit building, apartment building, and kind of manage it yourself, and you don't have to be overwhelmed. You got some little light repairs that you need to do. You can handle that because you kind of have that background of mechanical and just trades, being in the trades. You kind of have that background, so it shouldn't be scary. Now, the point of the whole thing is to invest in real estate. When you invest in real estate, the idea is either to create some sort of cash flow, some sort of income for yourself, and sometimes more importantly, it's a way to generate wealth. You build equity in that property, you hold it, you pay down the mortgage. If you've got a mortgage, it appreciates in value. So you've got this asset that's on the side in your life that's growing kind of passively, and it allows you to create wealth. I mean, that's the benefit of real estate. In fact, you have tax advantages on top of that. So, I'm sure that there are a handful of machinists out there that had the ambition to go out and buy themselves a little rental property, whether that's a single family home or a 2 to 4 unit building or some sort of rental property. Not unlikely. As the shop owner, a lot of times you want to own your building. You want to own your own building that your shop is in. Some people do that, some people don't. Some people evolve into that. Some people think that there's no other way to do it, that if you're going to be in business, you better own your own property. And as you're running your business, your shop, and you're generating income and revenue from the machining of parts and selling parts, your building is kind of like a little nest egg for you. Whether you have a loan or not, you may be paying down the loan. The building is increasing in value strictly by appreciation and time. Maybe you're doing improvements to the building. Whatever the case is, there's a way that real estate allows you to improve your net worth. And owning the property that your business is in is just one of those things. Now, let's assume that this machinist turned machine shop owner owns their building, and let's say they're doing really well in the machining business and they're starting to make a lot of money. A lot of these guys, listen, if you run a tight, profitable business and you've got a lot of customers and you're turning parts and, you're profitable at the end of the year, what is your CPA going to tell you? What is the accountant going to tell you? Accountant is going to tell you, go out and find write-offs. Find write-offs so you don't have to pay tax on all that revenue. And what's the best write-off? Real estate. Real estate is a great tax strategy to, shelter income. Now, I'm not a CPA, I'm not an accountant. I've invested in real estate. I've had my tax returns done and I've had advice, along the way. But, there are shop owners that are making money, taking that money, investing it in real estate. And now all of a sudden they got this income vehicle from the business and taking that money, investing it in real estate. Now you got either a secondary income stream coming in from that investment, plus the depreciation of the building, plus the tax write-offs for the operation of the property, plus the appreciation of the property. So now all of a sudden, what a great story. It's like the American dream. You got a machinist, learns a trade, gets highly skilled, outperforms everybody, decides it's time to go out on his own, opens up his own shop. Maybe he rents a little garage, rents a little space, starts making some money, buys his building, owns the building, pays off the building. The machine shop is continuing to operate, is continuing to make money and profit, taking that profit and then buying another property. And, slowly but surely, some of these guys, their real estate portfolio becomes bigger and almost more beneficial and more, important than the actual machining business that started it all. So it's just a really interesting way that business kind of works and how how people can evolve and create wealth and generate income, over time with a strategy. And look, I think that today you talk about colleges and, kids getting into colleges and, what that's all about. And nobody wants to go into the trades anymore. Well, imagine, you take this path. I think there's a lot of, kids out there that might be mechanical. They might be handy. Go out, get yourself a trade, become great at that trade, then open up your own business in that trade, invest in real estate along the way. And then all of a sudden your kids and your grandkids, could potentially be set up for life. So it's just a great way to do it. And it's kind of how I'm, blending those two businesses. Once again, that's kind of my whole existence is blending these two businesses and how they can benefit me and my family, my employees, how I can impart some of this knowledge and some of this experience to my employees and get them on a path. There is nothing more rewarding than hiring somebody, watching them grow, and then giving them the encouragement and, kind of support to let them go off and start their own business. And then if they can invest in real estate at the same time, selfishly from my point of view, because I do have a real estate background, it's just like double rewarding. So anyway, I hope that was all. I hope there are people out there that can relate to this and be interested in this. And if there's any questions or comments, put it down there in the comments, in the chat or whatever. And, I'd love to see what other people are doing. And in the meantime, everybody, I hope has a great day, and we'll see you next time on the Real Estate Machine Show.